Well, for me, I would say I only work at the Courrier for the last 3 years and as an editor for the last 1 year, 1 year and a half. So of course I didn't build this media. But what I could say from those years I've watched what's happening is that it takes a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of passion to do this, and also a lot of, how to say, like inspiration, to a lot of drive to, when I mentioned like, oh, we're trying to find new projects. Of course, finding new project and thinking about new projects takes time. It takes creativity. It's kind of also a creative work in a way. So it's also interesting.
Hello and welcome to Fixed, the podcast by the Fix Media, where we unpack media insight and take you behind the scenes of editorial decision, strategy, and innovation in the industry. I'm Orsi, and I will be your host today. Before we dive in, subscribe, follow, and if you like what you hear, support us at thefix.media. Hello and welcome to Fixed, the podcast by the Fix Media, and I'm your host Orsi Seregely as usual, and today I'm very happy to welcome Mathilde Warda, editor of Le Courrier de Balkans, a small French media outlet funded by their readers. They are offering day after day reports and analysis through its correspondents and based all in Balkan countries, and they are producing these in French. With her, now we're going to discuss the big picture behind Le Courrier de Balkans. Mathilde, thank you so much for coming and joining us on Fixed.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to talk about all of this with you.
And as a note, this interview is part of a series produced by the Fix under the MOST project. MOST stands for Media Organization for Stronger Transnational Journalism, and it's a European Commission initiative that connects 6 non-profit digital media outlets, just like Le Courrier de Balkans, across Europe. And the Fix works here as a mentor, consultant on product, audience, and business development for partner newsrooms. So if you're interested in these newsrooms, like the Le Courrier de Balkans or BN, for instance, then go ahead and check our channel, because we have all these interviews recorded, and also we have educational materials for our listeners. So I would say let's jump right into the questions then. So Le Courrier de Balkans has been covering the region for French-speaking audiences for many years. How would you describe your role in the media landscape today?
Well, I would say the role of the Courrier des Balkans is to offer a very niche, actually, experience for the audience, because we cover a region that is not really covered. I mean, it's covered, but we offer very specific information on a region that is covered when there's big news, for example. But we not only cover big news in the Balkans, but we cover everyday life, politics, everyday life, also the everyday life of the people that lives in this country. So I think, yeah, for our audience, we offer like specialized information in French about the Balkans. So if somebody is interested either in all of the country of the Balkans or in one specific country, they can follow in French the news happening in this region, and that's why we are quite unique in the francophone media landscape, let's say.
You already mentioned a little bit of this, but what does Le Courrier de Balkans offer that maybe other French national or international media usually wouldn't provide when it comes to reporting about the Balkan region or the Balkan countries in general?
I think we offer an expertise in this region, because we have, I mean, the Courrier des Balkans, maybe I should have said that in the first question, but it was created in 1998. So it's actually my age, fun fact. And yeah, we offer that expertise. We offer, like, if also our archive from all of these years, these 27 years. If somebody is interested in one specific subject, they can go and dive in everything we've written for the last 27 years. So I think it's really like, yeah, our expertise is really in this niche, in this specialized information, and on this day-to-day following of the news. Because as I said, for example, right now there's a massive protest in Albania. Of course, we're covering it, and we're covering it a lot, but we're also trying to provide background information. And also, since we have been covering also Albania for a long time, I think, yeah, like the readers can have more background information and following on the long term these news.
Let's talk about a little bit of your readers. who is your core audience, and does this core has changed over time? Because you mentioned that the magazine or the media itself is quite already having a couple of years behind their backs. So would you say that the audience itself changed?
I wouldn't say the audience has changed. I think we have a core of people that are following us for a long time. What we've learned, in 2024 we made a little survey to our readership. What we learned from that survey, even though not a lot of people have participated, to be enough, but what we learned is that a lot of our readers are above 50 years old. About 2/3 of the people that answer were men. So this is kind of our demographic right now, or at least it was 2 years ago. And we're trying to make, like, touch a new public, maybe a younger public. So actually, we're trying to implement a new strategy. We are going to get on that maybe later, but we have a new website. We are trying to be more active on the social media. So I don't think the audience has changed yet, but we are trying to reach more people and younger people on our website.
You mentioned that, of course, you've been following what's happening in Albania. And also, I think this last couple of years, it was also quite active for Serbia and also for Bosnia. And well, usually these years for the region, I think it's usually quite active. So which countries, topics, or developments generate the strongest interest among your readers? Because you said that you're not just following on the main events, right? But you are also following some backstories as well. So is there any developments, topics that especially is interesting for your audience?
What we learned from that survey I mentioned is that our readership were very interested in Serbia, Bosnia, North Macedonia, and Kosovo. That was the main topic that we saw. But again, not all of our readers have answered. So it's just a survey. What we are noticing on social media and also on our readership is that indeed those moments of big events, of course, the protest in Serbia, right now the protest in Albania, it's very interesting for our readership. So I think right now, like both the situation in Serbia and right now the protest in Albania is one of the two topics that are very interesting for our readership.
How do you decide which stories from the Balkans are relevant for French-speaking people?
Well, there's no like recipe for that. Like no, it's always difficult. I think since we know our readership is, of course, people that are interested in the Balkans mostly, we are trying to see actually what's happening in these countries, what is relevant in these countries, and basically any big news in one of the countries we're covering needs to be on our website, we think. And then also we are trying to offer like background information, reportage, and maybe that's actually something I should have mentioned. I'm very sorry about our audience. Is that we have an audience that is people that are very interested in the Balkans. Either they're living in the Balkans, or they're from the diaspora, or they have someone related to the Balkans. Like we have this type of individual readership, but also we have readers like institutional readers. Like for example, we have a lot of French institutes related to France. They have subscription, or like some French embassies in the Balkans have subscription. Sorry, it's a difficult word to say in English. So we also have this kind of readership that is more like diplomats or people working on the Balkans, in the Balkans. So sorry, I should have said that earlier. But so we have this in mind also when we choose the story. But yeah, maybe mainly the idea is something that is, when something is happening in the country, of course we cannot cover everything. But we are trying to at least give the main headline of this country, and also sometimes some specific reportage about the culture, some specific series we are launching. I don't know, for example, this summer we launched a series about festivals in the Balkan. So this is not like headline news, but this is more like summer, very enjoyable article to read and write actually on the Balkans, on more like music, cultural events.
And how is your newsroom organized across different countries and languages and local contexts? Because if I know it well, then you have contributors also based in these Balkan countries, right?
Yes, exactly. We have correspondents in, I think, all of the countries, if I'm not mistaken. So that's something. We have these correspondents that are either locals from these countries or like French-speaking people that are living in these countries. And also we have a editorial team. So Le Courrier des Balkans has a bit of a specific organization where we have 4 editors actually, and we take turns basically. And also these 4 editors, one is based in Serbia, one is based in Hungary, one is based in France, and I'm based in Turkey. So we have a little bit of a melting pot of a lot of countries. And how does it shape our reportage? I think reporting, right?
Yeah.
I think it does shape a lot our reporting on these regions because our journalists live on the country they are reporting on. So of course they experienced uh, what it's like to be a person in that country. For example, for me, I cover also as well Turkey. Of course, I see the difference. I what I'm talking about in my article, I'm also living it, and it's the same for our journalists. So actually, when they tell us about something that's happening in the country, of course they're directly affected by it. So I think it does shape how we cover the news, and I think that's also why, why we are so specific about the news we can say. And also, what I can say about our organization is that we also do translation. Actually, like our correspondent, they either write themselves the article or they do translation from media we have partnership with. But maybe that I can cover that in another question.
So I think maybe we are also arriving there. So like, what sources do your journalists rely on most? You mentioned that sometimes you use translations. How do you verify information in politically polarized or disinformation-heavy environments? Because I'm from Serbia, and I know that even people from here, it's difficult to know where to look, what to read. So what kind of sources you rely on?
That's of course that's, and even in this world, I think in a where the news is constantly moving, and it's very cliche to say, but it's also always very hard to verify information. But that's also the base of our job actually. So as I think every journalist, we are trying to provide information that is as close to reality. Like, I don't think we can be true objective or true neutral when we do journalism because everybody has their own reality of living. But I think it also does help that of course, we have our correspondent on the ground. They are living the situation, and we don't have one only editors. Actually, the articles that are published on the website, they're often edited once, twice, and sometimes they're read by all of us. So I think that does help to see like if there's any issues with the, I don't know, the data, the information. That's part of the verification process. And for the translation, we do translation of media that we have partnership with, that we media trusted media actually. So that's also how we verify this information, is by translating from sources that we know how they work, and they're also verifying their information.
What are the main difficulties of reporting on a region that is often, or at least I would say that it's often misunderstood or too simplified? Do you have any challenges regarding to this?
Well, yes, of course we have challenges, and I think we see it, for example, in some very polarized topic when we post it on social media. Then we have sometimes immediate answers. We can have insults in the comments that we have to delete or moderate, or so these. I think this is the sometimes the difficulty in this region. Like, there's very sensitive topic where people can. can be very mad, or at the same time, sometimes we get comment of, hey, like this, you write it this way, maybe it's not right. Like these kind of comments are actually very interesting, and it's always good to question ourselves and question how we cover the media. So it has happened that we've had this such a comment, and then we talk to each other about it and be like, oh, okay, maybe we should do this instead. I think to overcome this difficulty, again, like being multiple editors help, because I mean, for example, me, I'm based in Turkey. Actually, my area of specialization or expertise is actually Turkey. Of course, working with the Courrier des Balkans, I've learned a lot, but I still have a lot of stuff to learn. So I have a lot of time questions to my colleagues, actually, like, oh, is this topic, can we say this way, or not? Or so I think having a very open conversation with both the correspondent and between the editors is very important in that regard, actually. So that's how we are trying to overcome the difficulties in that regard.
And beyond journalism, you also have developed consultancy workshops and other services, including work related to disinformation. So, how did these activities become part of your organization, and how do you see them like succeeding in in this long way of being sustainable?
Yeah, actually, like I wasn't there when all of this started. I'm sorry, but I think it started because having an independent media in this media landscape everywhere in the world is very difficult. So of course there are some funds. Of course there are some, we have our subscription, but you also need to diverse your income. And since the Courrier des Balkans is recognized as a specialized media in the region, that's how we started doing consultancy. So that's, I don't know, for example, we write dossier for some folders. No, like, I don't know how to say that, actually. We
Stud-
write, sorry.
Studies,
Yeah, for
maybe
example,
studies.
studies. Yes, indeed. For some organizations, so for example, sometimes we work with, okay, it's called DGRIS in French, and it's the Directorate General of International Relations Strategy. So it's linked to the French Ministry of Armed Forces. So that's one of an example of stuff we do, like, because we are recognized as a media that is really, really specialized in this region. And since we already have this kind of network of people working in embassy or French institute that are reading our media, it does help. And we are constantly actually trying to apply to new projects. When we see a call for, I don't know, a project on disinformation, we apply for it. When we see a call that we think, okay, maybe the Courrier could bring valuable information on that topic, we're trying to apply. We don't always get it, of course, but it's a, I don't know, fortunately, unfortunately, having a small media, independent media nowadays also means having also to constantly trying to find new funds, new way to gain money. And we are actually like also brainstorming on other idea, maybe linked to tourism. That's a little teaser, but we are constantly trying to do more stuff, yeah, and I think we've talked about it with the fix a lot too.
What do you think? Which of these services have proved most valuable, both in terms of impact and also financial sustainability? Because you mentioned that you do many things. Do you see like maybe one or two that you would say that like that's the most valuable?
It's kind of a difficult question, but I would say kind of every piece of it makes a big puzzle and makes the big picture of how a media can survive in this environment. So I couldn't point at very one. We have, of course, project or some institution with which we are used to work with. But we don't really have one specific thing that we can say, okay, has helped us live during 27 years. But little piece by piece, all together makes it another, makes us survive through this media landscape. And also, like as you mentioned, actually in the introduction, we try to participate also to European funds. So either to make investigation, there's a lot of or European funding investigation, for example, or collaborative journalism, and actually the MOS project that is part of this, like the media organization for stronger transnational journalism, like this big project of 6 media all together, has also been a big part of all of our meetings, all of our organization for the last 1 year and a half. So yeah, this type of project also is interesting first, and also help us continue our job to make journalism in this region.
And we are slowly finishing this conversation. I have maybe just a couple of more questions. Our audience is especially interested in business models and how it looks like for different media. So could you maybe tell us a little bit about what does your current business model look like, and how do you balance editorial work, grants, reader support, and commercial or even consultancy activities?
So actually, right now, I mean, in the long term, usually we have 60% of our budget that is coming from subscribership. We have about 1,000 subscriber, more or less 1,100, but more or less 1,000. So 60% of our budget comes from subscribership, 40% from the other resources. And actually, I'm very sorry, I don't know in those 40% which parts, how it actually divided itself each other. But yeah, like we also, of course, trying to build more. Like before I mentioned, like we're trying to find new projects and find new ideas to how to develop and participate in other EU project, maybe participate in other consultancy, do other stuff. But of course, we're also trying to develop our subscribership, because at the end of the day, we're a media, we are doing journalism. We want to continue doing journalism. This is our main idea, of course. So we are trying to develop also our audience.
And as a last question, what have you learned about building and sustaining a small cross-border newsroom that could be useful to other independent media organization that maybe listens this episode?
Well, for me, I would say I only work at the Courrier for the last 3 years, and as an editor for the last 1 year and a half. So of course I didn't build this media, but what I could say from those years I've watched what's happening, is that it takes a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of passion to do this, and also a lot of how to say, like inspiration, to a lot of drive to, when I mentioned like, oh, we're trying to find new projects. Of course, finding new project and thinking about new projects takes time. It takes creativity. It's kind of also a creative work in a way, so it's also interesting. And so like I knew the journalism part before entering into the editorial part. What I've observed is that indeed there's a lot of side work to do to make a media work. But also I've also learned how indeed cross-border newsroom work. And I mean, it sounds maybe funny, but some of my colleagues I have met 1 month ago, for example. I've never met them before. I think when we're trying to build or sustain a small cross-border newsroom, actually the relations between the worker is very important, of course. And yeah, I guess I don't know if I can give advice to young journalists, but yeah, having a vision and knowing what we want, and I guess knowing what we want is important. Of course, it can change, but yeah, it's interesting, and that cross border aspect, I think it's what makes the beauty of it also. Like I'm so glad to read my what my colleagues are doing in Serbia, in Croatia. I can't name all of the countries, so they're gonna get mad at me. But I'm. It's also, yeah, the beauty of it all is that we are covering so many countries with so many different realities, and yet sometimes we find, of course, cross borders points and similarities. So I think that's what's also very interesting in working in this environment where I'm. There's so many stuff I need to learn every day. Uh, that's very interesting. And about the sustaining a media is, I think, yeah, having this creative process always on of finding new ways to both attract readership and also find new ways to find new projects.
All right, Mathilde, thank you so much to sharing these insights with us. And also thank you for our listeners who listened for this episode. And don't forget to subscribe, follow us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, because we have fresh episodes every now and then. So it's really worth to follow us. Thank you, Mathilde.
Thank you so much for having me.